I'm not. Catherine, no. Right. Well, let's make friends. That's what he does. Before we begin, the Eve Strategy channel is getting lots of views and I'm so grateful. But folks are forgetting to subscribe. So if you are watching the channel, please remember to hit the subscribe button so you can continue to follow along on all my adventures as I document my life. I can't wait to look back at videos and see my growth and of course know that you were there along the journey with me. So let's head back to the video. Right. Oh Lord, about to hit myself. Child, immediately, all time. It's beautiful. We have to stop here because this is actually really interesting. So at the Black and White Center, they had this, poster of all the different ethnic groups in Belize, which I thought was so cool. So let's actually go through them. First of all, I just also want to make the distinction as I talk about this. Again, there's a difference between like race and ethnicity. Race is a social construct. So when it comes to the word Hispanic, there's a lot of people who call themselves Hispanic, and Hispanic just basically means like you come from a country that is Spanish speaking, but in the root of it is Spaniard. So of Spanish descent, of European descent. So sometimes you have people who are people of color who live in some Spanish speaking countries calling themselves basically like of European descent or Spanish. And yes, your culture can quote unquote be Spanish, but like outside of Spain, it's like people's own respective culture, like how it evolved based on like cultures merging between Spain and wherever else they were, usually again through colonization. And then there's also Latino, which basically means like you geographic. So it's basically all around geographics. Like Hispanic, geographically, you like speak Spanish and live in a Spanish-speaking country, and or you are ethnically from Spain, you're European descent. Latino geographics, like you're from the Latin Americas, right? Like you live in the Latin Americas. But like within that, there's like more to that, it's more complex. So here you go with this list. There's the Garifuna people, which still to this day blows my mind learning the history and makes me so sad that nobody ever talks about the history of the Garifuna people. The Garifuna people were never colonized. And I'll tell you quickly, basically a little bit of their like origin story. So, in what we now know as St. Vincent today in the Caribbean, there was a group of Carib and Arawak, right? So it's kind of a little bit messed up, but what we learned was that the Arawak people thought that the Carib women were so beautiful that they basically killed off all the Carib men and then married with the Carib women. So by the time that Afro folks ended up in St. Vincent, the Arawak and the Caribs were pretty much mixed, right? In language and culture. So again, you're probably like, Eve, what are you talking about? What do you mean Afro folks settling, in the Caribbean? People 200 years before Mr. Christopher Columbus, Afro folk were already traveling the world. Yes. Yeah, it's a thing. And some folks decided to settle in some of the places that they went to, but the Afro folk and the indigenous folks, they were chilling, and by the time that colonizers came, they pretty much mixed in language and culture and whatnot. And basically in the island known as St. Vincent, they're basically like, okay, well, we're here now, this is ours. So get with the program. And they were like, no. So they basically like exiled them. And if you look at the map of like St. Vincent and literally just go straight left, you see Honduras. So the Garifuna people, the mixture of the West African, Arab and Arawak and Carib folks, ended up in Honduras. Then the British came again, and it was called the British Honduras, and they had to move again. So they went up north to what we now know as Belize. So the national settlement day for the Garifuna people in Belize is November 17th. So that's basically like their, their history month, November. That's when a lot of folks who are Garifuna from Belize end up going back to Belize, to go celebrate their culture and stuff. So yeah, the Garifuna people are really amazing. Just learning that they were never colonized. Of course, they were discriminated against. And whatnot, as Belize ended up, being colonized themselves and everything like that. But that is the short of the long of the Garifuna people. If it has not sparked your interest to go learn more about these people and figure out like why isn't this being told more and shared, like, my God. And because the reason why I was so excited about Belize is because Belize and Haiti are the two African Caribbean nation states that have languages outside of the colonizer. So I'm like, how are they able to preserve their language? And it was very much so just like, the Haitian people, like, we said, nah, that's not what you're gonna do here. Mestizos are indigenous people and people of European descent mixing together. That's what mestizo is. Creole or Creole is basically like a mixture of, POC folks mixing together. Then you have the Maya, so the indigenous folks of that land. You have the Maya Mapong, you have the Quechua people, and you have the Yucatec people, which, like, come to find out, I learned all three of those languages. So wow, I learned like about 10 to 15 phrases in each one. I was able to find someone from each indigenous group and just sat them down and be like, tell me your life. And yeah, I believe it's the Yucatecs, but like their indigenous group spans like from Belize all the way up to like the middle of what we now know as like Mexico. Like they're huge. And then East Indian, you may be like, who the French knows is East Indian? Because Christopher Columbus was trying to head to India and went west, and people in the Caribbean are, referred to as West Indian. When they say East Indian, they actually mean folks from India, like South Asians and everything like that, who ended up in Belize. Mennonites, there's Mennonites there. So folks in the States, in the New England area, could like think of it in regards to like the Amish folks who make really amazing, yummy whoopie pies. But like, yes, the Mennonite folks, they actually fled a lot from like Germany. The folks that I met who were Mennonite, who I was able to be like, hey, can I chat with you, learn more about your life? They speak like, they speak German, but like, it's a German with a twang, and it's very interesting. They're really cool. They're really known. The Mennonite community in Belize are really known for like building and dairy products there. And then yes, there's a population of Chinese folks. So yeah, these are the ethnic groups that make up Belize. It's quite interesting. All right, I'll let you go back to the video now. Bye.
Thicker in there,
Right. It's like Mama Juana. Where you
right? And it has like the stuff in it.
Oh wow, yeah, for gall, China root, William. Yes, the herbalism. Oh, this looks good. Spices to cleanse and purify your blood. We love to see it.
Living a peaceful life, not only in Belize, but Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Some of our people have moved. And guys, I can assure you that as we go along, you're going to enjoy our presentation when it comes to food, music, and dance.
Yes.